The Book of Job, a philosophical exploration. Job was a man of great virtue, blessed with wealth, family, and health. He feared God and turned away from evil, living a life of righteousness. In a world where morality was thought to dictate fate, his prosperity seemed to confirm the idea that goodness was rewarded. But the story of Job challenges this assumption in a profound and unsettling way. In the heavenly courts, a conversation unfolds between God and Satan, the adversary. Satan questions Job's faithfulness, arguing that his piety is transactional. He worships God because he has been blessed. Strip him of his wealth, his health, and his family, and his devotion will crumble. In response, God permits Job to be tested. One by one, his blessings are stripped away. His livestock is destroyed, his servants are killed, and worst of all, his children die in a sudden disaster. As if this were not enough, his body is afflicted with painful sores, leaving him in agony, sitting in the ashes. At first, Job does not curse God. He grieves, he mourns, but he does not blaspheme. His wife, overwhelmed by their misfortune, urges him to curse God and die, but he refuses, accepting both good and bad from the divine. Yet as his suffering continues without explanation, Job begins to question the very foundation of his reality. 3 friends come to comfort him, but their words only deepen his pain. They insist that suffering must be deserved, that Job's misfortunes are proof of some hidden sin. Their reasoning reflects a worldview that has existed throughout human history, the belief in retributive justice, where good is rewarded and evil is punished. But Job knows he has done nothing to deserve such affliction. His suffering is not the result of wrongdoing. He cries out, demanding an answer from God, struggling to reconcile his pain with the idea of divine justice. Job's lament is one of the most powerful expressions of human anguish in literature. He curses the day he was born, asking why he was ever brought into the world only to endure such torment. He pleads for an explanation, for justice, for meaning. His words echo the questions that countless human beings have asked in moments of suffering. Why me? What have I done to deserve this? Is there any order to the universe, or is life governed by chaos? And then, from the whirlwind, God speaks. But the response is not what Job expects. God does not offer a direct explanation or justification for Job's suffering. Instead, he asks Job a series of rhetorical questions. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Can you command the morning? Have you walked in the depths of the ocean? Do you understand the workings of the cosmos? These questions are not answers in the traditional sense. They do not provide clarity about Job's suffering, nor do they confirm or deny the existence of divine justice. Instead, they reveal the vastness of existence and the limits of human knowledge. God does not explain why the innocent suffer, but he reminds Job that the universe is infinitely complex, beyond human comprehension. This response raises profound philosophical questions. Is suffering meaningless, or does it serve a purpose beyond human understanding? Does divine justice exist, even if it is not immediately visible? Or is Job's story a challenge to the very idea of a moral order in the universe? The Book of Job disrupts the comforting belief that life operates on a simple system of rewards and punishments. Job's suffering is not a consequence of sin, and yet it happens. This challenges the assumption that righteousness guarantees prosperity. It suggests that the universe does not operate according to human notions of fairness. But does this mean that life is ultimately unjust? Or does it mean that justice exists in a form beyond human comprehension? One way to interpret Job's suffering is through the lens of existentialism. Albert Camus, for instance, might see Job as a man confronting the absurdity of existence. Like Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down, Job suffers without clear reason. He searches for meaning, but the answers he receives are ambiguous. Unlike Camus' hero, however, Job does not embrace the absurd. He demands an answer from God. But does he truly receive one? Another interpretation is that Job's story is about humility in the face of the unknown. If divine justice exists, it may operate on a scale beyond human understanding. Perhaps suffering has a purpose that is not immediately visible. But does this explanation satisfy, or does it merely suppress the question? If faith demands submission to mystery, does it require abandoning reason? Job's journey suggests that faith is not about receiving clear answers, but about enduring the uncertainty of existence. Job's story also raises questions about human resilience. Despite his suffering, he does not surrender to despair. He refuses to accept a false explanation, even when his friends insist that he must be guilty. His suffering transforms him from a man of passive faith to a man who directly challenges the divine. In this, Job represents the human struggle to find meaning in suffering. His story does not end with a neat resolution, but it does affirm one thing: the search for truth, however painful, is a defining part of the human experience. And yet, Job's story does not conclude in despair. After Job acknowledges the limits of human understanding, God restores what was taken from him. His health returns, his wealth is doubled, and he is blessed with new children. This restoration does not erase his past suffering, nor does it provide a direct answer to why he endured such loss. But it suggests that suffering is not the final word. Whether this ending represents divine justice, a return to balance, or simply a narrative resolution is open to interpretation. In the end, the book of Job leaves us with more questions than answers. Is Job's suffering a test, a lesson, or an absurd tragedy? Does his story affirm faith, or does it challenge the very idea of divine justice? Does it suggest that suffering has meaning, or does it confront us with the possibility that life is indifferent to human morality? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're not subscribing to the Yusafi channel, you're probably never going to see us again. But if you are, then congratulations. You're learning something new every day.